3 people went into the Amazon jungle together. Only one of them came out understanding what it truly means to survive. This is the story of how a woman, underestimated and ignored by the 2 men she trusted, ended up saving all their lives, and teaching them a lesson neither of them would ever forget. Her name was Sara. She was a field researcher, mapping rare plant species deep in the Amazon basin for a conservation project. 2 men were assigned to accompany her on the trip, Danish and Farhan, hired as local guides, supposedly experienced with the jungle. From the very first day, it was clear they didn't take her seriously. "She's just here to write notes," Danish said to Farhan, laughing, thinking she couldn't hear. "We're the ones who actually know this jungle." Sara said nothing. She had heard comments like this her whole career. She simply kept walking, kept observing, kept doing her job. But pride has a way of walking a person straight into danger. On the 3rd day, the group reached a river crossing. Sara suggested they take the longer, safer route around, since the water levels looked unstable after the previous night's rain. Danish waved her off. "We don't need a woman telling us how to read a river." He and Farhan pushed ahead through the water. Sara warned them one last time, and this time, they didn't even bother responding. Halfway across, the current shifted. It happens fast in the Amazon. A calm river can turn violent in seconds. Farhan lost his footing. Danish grabbed for him, but the force of the water pulled them both downstream, slamming them against rocks before they managed to crawl onto the opposite bank, injured, disoriented, and completely lost. Their equipment, their food, their radio, all of it gone, swept away by the river. And Sara was still standing on the other side. She could have turned back. Found her own way to safety. After everything they had said to her, no one would have blamed her. Instead, she found a narrow crossing further upstream, and made her way to them. She found Danish with a fractured wrist, barely able to move. Farhan had a deep cut along his leg, already showing signs of infection from the jungle water. "Why did you come for us?" Farhan asked, wincing in pain. Sara knelt down, examining his wound. "Because right now, none of that matters. What matters is getting us all out alive." What the 2 men didn't know was that Sara hadn't just been writing notes for the past 3 days. She had been studying everything, which plants were edible, which had medicinal properties, which trees indicated fresh water nearby, which animal tracks meant danger and which meant safety. She used the sap from a tree she had identified 2 days earlier to help slow Farhan's infection. She set a splint for Danish's wrist using vines and a broken branch. She built a shelter before nightfall, using palm leaves layered exactly the way she had observed local materials work best against rain. Danish watched her work in silence, ashamed, remembering every dismissive comment he had made. "How do you know all this?" he finally asked. "Because I actually listened," Sara said quietly. "To the jungle. To the research. To everything you 2 were too busy joking about to notice." For the next 2 days, Sara led them both through the jungle, reading the sun's position for direction, following water sources downstream toward civilization, rationing the small amount of food she had kept separately in her own bag exactly for a situation like this. Danish, still in pain, finally spoke what he had been holding back. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything. We treated you like you didn't belong here. And you're the only reason we're still breathing." Farhan nodded beside him, too exhausted to speak, but the look on his face said the same thing. Sara didn't need the apology. But she accepted it anyway, because that's what she had come to understand about people. Most of them aren't cruel by nature. They're just blind, until something forces them to see clearly. On the 4th day, they finally reached a small river village, where local fishermen helped get Farhan and Danish proper medical care. Before they parted ways, Danish asked her one last question. "What's the actual lesson here? What do you want us to walk away with?" Sara thought about it for a moment. "Respect isn't something you give based on how loud someone speaks, or how confident they sound," she said. "It's something you give based on what someone actually knows, and what they're willing to do when it matters most. I didn't need you to believe in me to survive. But you needed to believe in me to survive. She walked away from that jungle carrying nothing but her research notes and a quiet kind of strength she had always